How can you have lived for so long and still not get it? This self-obsession, it's a waste of living that could be spent on surviving things, appreciating nature, nurturing kindness and friendship, and dancing. You've been pretty lucky in love, though, if I may say so.
Vampires have always been a fascination of mine, but more so with their thoughts and feeling rather than the transformation or the bloodlust. Only Lovers Left Alive invokes a feeling of interview with a vampire, with much less about the sparkling and questionable love triangle, like Twilight, and more about the quintessential emphasis on how they simply live. The characters, Adam and Eve, show us through intellectual thoughts and feelings how less is more, how loss can still hold true for someone who has experienced it all of their lives, and how mortality can sometimes have to be placed on pause for the sake of survival. This is Two Takes, and this is One Shot, an analysis of Only Lovers Left Alive.
What is this quintessence of dust?
Adam recites this line from Hamlet to Marlowe just before he dies, presenting it like a greeting, and perhaps also as a farewell. Within the Shakespearean play, which was hinted in the film that Marlowe actually ghostwrote it, Hamlet is expressing his melancholy of his father's death, whilst emphasising a human being is essentially only a pile of dust. It is an interesting expression of human worthlessness declared within his depression. However, in this context, when Adam is saying it, it might have a different interpretation. Quintessence originated from Latin, meaning the fifth essence, with the essential four being air, fire, water and earth. In Western philosophy, each element can represent something. For example, air represents movement and communication, fire with power and drive, water with idea or thought, and earth with stability and steadiness. It was said that these elements would represent physical substances that would make up the universe, but also the symbolic qualities that help and benefit human life. When explaining quintessence, the fifth element, Vimalkumar Onkora explains it further. In the Vedic philosophy, along with these four elements of life, they also recognize the fifth element, space or sky, calling them Panchamahabhuta. This fifth element, the sky, represents the cosmos, the heavenly bodies, our spiritual connection and the self-discovery. They believe the human body is not only made of the earthly elements, it also has a part of the cosmos, and our journey should be in the path of understanding this cosmos. Cosmos can be understood by understanding the self, as the self contains the cosmos. That is, you can't understand the cosmos without understanding self, and you can't understand the self without acknowledging the cosmos. If we look at it this way, we can see the love within the melancholy for his dearest friend, and also the knowledge of a non-man that knows that this is only the end of Marlowe on the physical plane. The perfect embodiment of a human, to eventually die and become dust, then molecules, then be part of something again. This can connect to when Adam brings up the connections founded in quantum entanglement, and the proven description of how two halves of a particle separated can touch each other even when placed on opposite sides of the universe. We, as humans, are physical beings that are made up of essentially dust and molecules, but the brilliance lies in our essence and what happens next. What is this quintessence of dusk, you ask? It is us, our love, our everything. And what is fascinating is the knowledge that each vampire has been given time to come to this wonderful conclusion. And so, without the battle of morality and the questioning of why, like many vampire films, Adam and Eve are simply being. The questioning left on the wayside, with the knowledge that death is always near, and if it were to touch them, then so be it. It's interesting to observe the yin and yang symbolism of both Adam and Eve, what with the literal colour wardrobe, but also within their thoughts upon the world and even their interests. Eve can be interpreted as a somewhat druid being, more into the flora and fauna with the easygoing fluidness of moving with the times, with Adam being into creative music, remembering those who have gone, with a strive for knowledge and scientific things to the point of creating his own generator that hums power from outer space. Adam and Eve, creation and druidism, are the balance within their own universe. And I know what you're thinking. It's a direct link of Adam and Eve from the Bible, surely? Well, you would only be half right. Writer and director Jarmusch named his characters in reference to Mark Twain's satirical work, The Diaries of Adam and Eve, which do follow the story of Adam and Eve within and then away from the Garden of Eden, with a more thoughtful bias on what each person felt and thought of everything around them. A first-person view, per se, which is an interesting take on what we know about the biblical story. And if this reference is indeed true, then there is symbolism to Ava's introduction, being that she can place herself in people's dreams, like chaos in the unconsciousness. Link this to the snake within the Garden of Eden and the introduction to death to Adam's friend Ian that also creates disruption with the pureblood that has Marlowe also die. We have essentially gone full circle to the point that Adam and Eve themselves will have to kill in order to survive. What I love about Only Lovers Left Alive is the fact that it doesn't concentrate on fighting for justice or survival, or even for love. It concentrates on the relationship throughout immortality, with the benefits of having time to submerge themselves in knowledge that cannot be gained in a finite life, what with the refusal to give up certain things. We discover their admiration for things, such as the craftsmanship of an antique guitar, or through the written word, or the many wired contraptions that can create moody music. A wall dedicated to brilliant scientists and other creators align Adam's wall in memoriam, whilst Eve hauls her travelling gear with only books that she lovingly touches. These are hoarders of knowledge and the arts, ephemeral pleasures that hold them still in admiration, the eternal solace of their love for each other, creating a cocoon-like structure. This can go further as the scenes marking the importance of the gloves that each vampire wears and the question of, may I, that imposes an interesting connection. When Eve and Adam throw their gloves aside and touch each other, it feels like their time apart has been broken down, their memories shared without speaking a single word. We see Eve grasping the guitar and telling Adam how old it is by simply touching it, and then we see Ava being denied her allowance of being able to take her gloves off and touch Adam. There's this subtle importance around the sensation of touch that gathers information, shows emotions, and even bears one's soul to the other. And in Ava's case, invasion of privacy perhaps, for some. Only Lovers Left Alive. It is what it says. Only the lovers can be left alive, quite literally. And like I said earlier, Adam and Eve give each other balance, which is important. That caring for someone else, conversing fears, joys and the like, is a connection that can perhaps even span universes, that has Jarmusch musing over what would it be like to be a vampire, to live so long, but to also feel so much. As RobertoMyLife.com writes, the characters are clinging to their ephemeral pleasures while taking solace in that which is eternal, namely their love for each other, which nourishes them both. There is this belief that love can be one's own nourishment for the soul. They are sophisticated and highly moral individuals having developed a refined worldview over centuries. This isn't about the control of bloodlust or revenge. They are just there, like the fungi that can be out of season, slightly strange beings that don't really have a place in this world, but still capable to camouflage themselves into society when needed. What might be their downfall is a refusal to let go of their own humanity, branding humans like zombies and thinking themselves perhaps superior to them because humans can be considered as worthless, as their lives are short and linked to death, whilst Adam and Eve are outside of that realm. But if you give yourself a couple of 100 years and even you would become distant to people who can only live to a certain age with limited worldviews. And when it comes to the ending to where there is a presence of loss, with Ian, with Marlowe, with the good stuff, Adam and Eve might have to let go of their preservation of human life and have gone to accept their vampiric feral nature, much like Ava, to the point of killing that young couple. But was it a loss of their humanity, or a desperation to satisfy what their bodies need in order to have more time to come up with a better plan? The ending is somewhat like a cliffhanger, easier for the audience to make their own conclusions. And much like the story of Adam and Eve, we don't hear much about what happened after the catastrophic events that led to the ending of the Garden of Eden. It's up to us to imagine the rest. Whether it is to pass on their condition as a vampire at the very end of the film, or even to embrace the loss of their morality and to embrace death by being a true predator, Adam and Eve give us a different, ephemeral and erotic belief of love. Whether the setting be in the bustling streets of Tangier or the silence of Detroit, everything around them becomes scenery, like a distant dream, memories almost, with them being the immortal stars in the sky. They talk about the cosmos and emphasize the sensuality of touch through knowledge and pleasure. Admiring the craftsmanship of man-made things, idly creating things without wanting to take credit, but always, always at a distance. Their own little bubble of lover's nourishment replenishes their appreciation of things long gone and things that are going to pass. Understanding they are outside of time, they simply watch and listen. The fact that they are indeed vampires is never actually said, giving you a subtle pleasure in understanding that we are in on the secret too. But to live this long, to have all of this knowledge and love, would you want that? What are your thoughts on what was discussed in this episode? Comment and let me know to open up a conversation. Like and subscribe for more content of this nature, and come talk to me on Twitter or Instagram. Better yet, support the show on my Patreon to help a creator such as myself with learning on the go. Each like, each comment, each subscriber fuels the motivation I need to make better and better content for yours truly. Come say hi, and thanks for watching.